stewing right now from that controversy, Indiana law that has forced the state's governor, Mike Pence, to retreat as he seeks to fix the law and quiet the public fallout. And just today, as everyone braced for Arkansas's Governor Asa Hutchinson to sign identical legislation, Governor Hutchinson shocked everyone by announcing that he first wants his state's legislature to fix the religious freedom law before it even gets to his desk. Here he is.
The issue has become divisive because our nation remains split on how to balance the diversity of our culture with the traditions and firmly held religious convictions. It has divided families, and there is clearly a generational gap on this issue. My son Seth signed the petition asking me, Dad, the governor, to veto this bill. The bill that is on my desk at the present time does not precisely mirror the federal law. Therefore, I ask that changes be made in the legislation. And I've asked that the leaders of the General Assembly to recall the bill so that it can be amended to reflect the terms of the Federal Religious Freedom and Restoration Act.
But the damage to the Republican Party, which desperately wants to win the White House in 2016, may already be done. Just before Indiana Governor Mike Pence started to fold a bit on the religious freedom law, 4 of the GOP's presidential candidates came to his defense and have now put themselves to the right of the Indiana governor, further exposing the Republican Party to a much different place on gay rights than the rest of the country. According to last month's NBC Wall Street Journal poll, for example, 59% of all Americans, 74% of Democrats, and most importantly, 60% of independents favor gay marriage. 40% of Republicans do. Well, as the Washington Post writes today, the position puts the Republican field out of step with a growing national consensus on gay rights, handing Hillary Rodham Clinton and other Democrats a way to portray Republicans as intolerant and insensitive. As the divide grows between the business wing and the social conservative wings of the Republican Party, the GOP is on a combustive course with the rest of the country, as Republican presidential hopefuls are drawn into the culture wars. Does the GOP really want the 2016 election to be about God, guns, and gays? Dana Milbank is an opinion writer with the Washington Post. Gregory Angelo is executive director of the Log Cabin Republicans, and Sandy Rios is with the American Family Association. Let me get to a point that has just come up. This is a Arizona pizza owner, a pizzeria owner, who just has put out a statement. Let's take a look at what this guy has to say, this woman has to say. Crystal O'Connor of Memories Pizza out in Indiana says her family would serve a gay couple of a non-Christian couple or a non-Christian couple at its restaurant in Walkerton, Indiana, which is about 20 miles southwest of South Bend in northern Indiana. But O'Connor tells WBND, that's South Bend TV, that the restaurant would say no if a gay couple asked to provide pizzas for their wedding. O'Connor says the business reflects her family's Christian beliefs. Where are you on that, Gregory? What do you make of a woman saying, I've got a law now that protects my right to say no weddings? Okay, I'll be there in 30 minutes with the pizza. But I'm not going if you call me ahead of time for a wedding.
Right. Well, first thing I thought was this has to be an April Fool's joke, because there's no way a gay couple would be ordering pizza for their wedding. But
is this a class statement on your part? It is. The gay guys and women are much more sophisticated than to have pizza. I would thought the same thing, actually.
But I'll say this. For Governor Pence getting out there yesterday and saying this bill is not about allowing discrimination for anyone, regardless of who they love.
Well, Crystal O'Connor thinks it is at the pizzeria.
Right. Then the next day, you have this business owner that is actually excited to use this RFRA legislation specifically as a license to discriminate. So something is definitely wrong with this law. This is a law that Log Cabin Republicans has opposed because it is too broad. It's also redundant, and it's the very definition of these special rights that just a few years ago, Republicans on the far right were accusing the LGBT community of demanding for ourselves.
Let me go to Sandy on this. Do you think, let's talk about the pizza owner. Let's go to cases, not theory here. She says, I'll serve them under 30 minutes, I guess, or whatever Domino's rule is. I like Domino's. But they're not going to do it in an advanced case of some big wedding ceremony because they don't believe in gay marriage.
Well,
can she use this law for that reason?
No, because that law is a law that's a tool that's used in court. That law does not give her the right to do that. If she can prove that she has deeply held beliefs about gay marriage, then she could be, if she's taken to court by whoever it is because she won't serve them at their wedding, she can use this as a defense, but it doesn't mean that she's going to win. I think the problem
is that... But if we didn't have this law, where would she be any worse off? I mean...
Well, okay, I'll tell you
why do we need this law?
We need this law, Chris, because Baronelle Stutzman, 71-year-old grandmother in the state of Washington, has a floral shop that she inherited from her mother. She serves gay people. She has gay friends, but a gay couple came to her that she served for years and asked for her to do flowers at their wedding. She said, I can't. I'm a Christian. I just can't. I don't embrace gay. I can't do a gay wedding. And you know what? The state of Washington is suing her. They want to take her house, her business. You know, Chris, that's wrong. And that's why these laws are stepping up, so that Baronelle Stutzman and people like her, like the couple, Melissa and Aaron Klein, who've lost their complete business. This baking.
Okay, let me ask you another question. Suppose your religion opposed interracial marriage. In the same exact situation, where would you be on that?
Every single thing, Chris, has to go before the courts. This law does not say, this law does not make anybody serve anyone.
No, but it says your religion can be used to oppose public accommodations.
It gives you a reason, it gives you a foundation upon which to bring a lawsuit or to defend yourself, just like Hobby Lobby did. That's the law that they used. So you think it's okay, as a value, you think it's okay for a business open to the public to say no interracial marriage weddings will be celebrated by us? No, I didn't say that.
Well, what
because I think interracial marriage is not a moral issue, but gay marriage is.
Well, and certainly was a moral issue years ago. What do you?
Well, it was a moral issue because it was a custom in the South that was just abhorrent to them. But it doesn't mean it's a moral issue. A moral issue is something that opposes God's standard, and God's standard is marriage between one man and one woman.
I think that's exactly the point, and that is it is no longer becoming a moral issue for most Americans. And if you look at where interracial marriage was, it really is the perfect sort of analogy here. A majority of Americans thought
South Africa called it the Morality Act.
In the 1980s, 1980s, this isn't ancient history. The majority of Americans thought interracial marriage was immoral.
But
that has changed fundamentally to the point that I think only 4% of Americans have that view today. You can see it crossing over in the same way, and presumably in 10 or 20 years from now, only 4% of Americans will see homosexuality as immoral.
We draw our moral values from polls. People that hold moral values draw them from God's law, and of course there's disagreements on some things, but some things we can be certain about. Life is sacred. Okay, let's get to the principle. Do you believe it's a good case? Do you oppose gay marriage personally? Yes. Okay. Do you oppose gay rights? It depends on the rights. Well, how about the right of a gay couple to go in? All right, let me go through the cases. The most ridiculous case. You tell me where you get off the train. All right. You tell me where the train ought to not stop. All right. Yeah. The two guys go into a gas station to buy gas. Now it's clear that they're lovers because they're holding hands. Whatever they're doing, they show affection, sexual attraction. Can you say no gas to you, buddy? I'm not part of this. Absolutely not. Okay, you can't. Okay. How about if you have a hotel? Two people of the same sex try to check in at midnight, and it's clear they're lovers. Do you stop them? If I had a hotel, check them in. Where you have to tell me where the line is. If I had a Christian business that catered to Christian families and it was a retreat center or something. What's a Christian hotel? Well, I don't know. I'm just telling you. If there were, look, there was one in Illinois. There was a bed and breakfast that was, and they were challenged and they lost in court. But I think Christians who have a Christian business catering to Christians should have the right to do that. But a public accommodation, like the Hilton or whatever. How about a Christian gas station? This is why. I just want to know where you said it starts. Gasoline is not a moral issue, but participating in a gay wedding is something that is troubling to the conscience.
What about providing gas for the limousine that picks the gay couple up to go to the hotel?
Discriminate.
I'm with you, Chris. I don't think there are Christian hotels.
But should a hotel discriminate?
No, I don't think so, because I don't think we can do that in this culture. I don't think but listen, if we did that, we'd have to say, show me your marriage license, because I don't, the more.
So they can have the honeymoon in your hotel, but they can't have the wedding at your bakery.
You're asking a baker to go in and use her creativity to participate in the wedding. Okay, she doesn't want to do that, and so she's lost her business. So there, she's lost her business. Okay, so you take the business that your religious association, the beliefs of your religion, should trump public accommodations. Chris, I did not say that.
Well,
I said that when you have a personal conviction about something, you should not be required to participate in it if it goes against your conscience. Let me give you an example.
So your business is open to the public except for anything that gets in the way of your religion?
Well, you know what? It's like that. Remember the morning after pill when it was approved, and Christian pharmacists did not want to give the pill to people, so they'd say, you know what? Here's a pharmacist down the street that'll do it, but I can't.
They're not selling it to other people too. The difference is that it isn't a public.
Yes, but it's a matter of personal conscience, and Chris, we have a First Amendment right.
If you're selling hot dogs and I'm not selling hot dogs to gay people, that is discrimination.
That is not what we're talking about. about? We're talking
if I
about.
would be an arbiter here to some degree.
No,
I would point out. I would point
out that you're not going to be an arbiter here. I'm the arbiter.
Fair enough.
You give me your position.
Let me give you
Don't play arbiter.
Republicans' position on this, and it's a story that's been underreported, in my opinion, in the media. And that just 3 weeks ago, you had Republicans in the Utah State Legislature, the Republican governor, leaders from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and LGBT advocates all come to the table. And essentially, what they did was propose an LGBT non-discrimination bill coupled with a religious freedom bill, and it passed in Utah,
but
in Republican-controlled legislature.
In Indiana.
That's because they're not pairing RFRA, at least now, with LGBT protections.
At the time, the Religious Freedom Restoration Act came up this past week in Indianapolis. There was a proposal to add to it a provision guaranteeing access of people to public accommodations.
Right, and the Republican governor, the Republican mayor of Indianapolis actually signed an executive order.
But the legislature opposed it overwhelmingly.
Well,
so they had the same.
That was before they had this backlash from RFRA that they're experiencing now, and I think they're forced to recognize this. That's why they're going back to the table. We'll see what this fix is.
When was the Utah vote?
The idea. When was the Utah vote? Yeah. It was about 3 weeks ago.
Well, this one was
called
last
the Utah
week.
Compromise.
So
right.
more recently than that, we had a problem with people voting that way.
I think this has been something of a watershed moment, and I think when it was passed in Indiana, they didn't necessarily realize what they were getting into.
They weren't being watched.
Exactly. And now that you've seen the focus on it and you've seen the power of this issue. It's a private
ceremony to sign this thing.
It is extremely difficult to explain, and you're entitled to your principled positions.
I'd be happy to. Give me a chance.
The presidential candidates are entitled to their position.
Don't play the old right-wing.
No, I'm serious.
You had full time to defend your position.
No, I know, Chris. No, I'm not saying you've been unfair to me in any way, but I'm just saying it can be explained. That law can be explained.
It can be explained, but you've had a great deal of difficulty doing it here.
Who's winning this
and
argument?
Mike Pence has had a great deal of difficulty.
I think gay advocates are winning this argument right now, but they need to also recognize religious liberty.
Gay advocates are winning because people are not hearing the other side. They don't know about Baronelle Stutzman losing her home. They don't know about the baking couple that's lost their business.
Please come back.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Right now. Sandy Rios, thank you so much. I meant it. Gregory, Angelo, and you're not the arbiter. I am. And Dana Milbank.
Fair enough.